What's up, everybody? It's Glenn and Big Jack back with another best bets of the NFL weekend video. It is NFL Week 11. Is that correct, Jack? NFL, or is it Week 12?
Week 11.
Week 11. So Week 11 of the NFL 2022 season. Last week, me and Jack both went 2-1. We also each of our winners was we were both on Green Bay last week, who was an outright winner at home as a 5-point dog to the Cowboys. So that was a good pick by both of us. We're now 2-2 on the year on picks that we're both on the same pick. Our year-to-date records, Jack is leading the competition. Granted, he doesn't have a stellar record either, but he's at 13, 15, and 2 on the season. I am struggling at a 12, 17, and 1 season. But that being said, both had winning records last week. Let's build on that, have another winning record this week. Jack, good to have you back. How you feeling?
Good, man. Like you said, finally a solid weekend for both of us, combined 4-2, getting back in the green for once. So just got to carry that momentum through the rest of the way.
Absolutely. It'd be nice to get at least you to a winning record by the end of the season. Get one of us there because it'd be tough to end the year with 2 losing records. But anyways, as we look ahead to this weekend, me and Jack, as always, have 3 picks apiece. We'll hop right into the picks. My first pick of the week is a very square pick, but I think Houston's arguably the worst team in the NFL, and I think the Commanders are a solid football team. They're going into Houston as 3-point favorites. I'm going to put the money on Washington that they can cover that 3 points against one of the worst teams in the NFL. Houston's really bad against the run. Not a very threatening when they're on offense either. I think they're a team that also in the back of their heads is thinking that a top draft pick wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I think Washington goes into Houston, covers the 3 comfortably, and we'll start off the weekend with a win with Washington -3 at Houston.
Commanders are an interesting team, man. Riverboat Ron's got them competing right in the playoff hunt in a weak NFC. It's interesting that he still hasn't necessarily committed to Heineke, even though they kind of keep winning. He was bantering in the media about not really knowing whether or not they would go with Wentz once he was healthy. But I do know are they getting Chase Young back this week or?
I'm not sure. Obviously, that'd be a nice boost, but
right. But yeah, no, they're a solid team competing well. Like you said, I think Houston is, going to be more than satisfied with hopefully capturing that number 1 overall pick. So yeah, I don't love the game personally, but I'm certainly not going to back Houston in just about any spot at this point in the season. My first pick, I'm going to go with Philadelphia, coming off a disappointing loss to said Commanders on Monday Night Football. I think they bounced back in a big way. I'm going to take them to cover the 6.5 on the road against a disappointing Indianapolis team that was catching a lot of love, similarly to how the Raiders sort of were. I feel like they're probably them two mixed in with the Packers are probably the biggest disappointments of the season. And I just think that Jeff Saturday's, 1-week honeymoon, kind of getting the job done against that horrible Raiders team I just mentioned. I think that ends abruptly, and I like the Eagles to go out there and win by a touchdown.
Like the pick a lot. I mean, Eagles are just one of the most well-rounded teams in all of football. I think they bounced back after a disappointing performance on Monday night against the Commanders, who we just talked about. All right, next pick of mine is also a square pick. Giants are only 3-point favorites at home versus Detroit. I do worry that Vegas is begging everybody to pick the Giants here, given it's only 3 points at home versus a lousy Detroit team. But that being said, I also think Detroit's one of the bottom of the barrel teams. I think the Giants are a solid team. It's a very similar thought process to the Washington-Houston game, but I just think the Giants are a good team. I think Detroit's a bad team. I love that it's at home versus on the road. They're only given 3. I think the Giants can do kind of what they want against Detroit when the Giants are on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, I just think they're an average defense, maybe a little bit better than average, and I think they'll they'll slow down Detroit. I think they cover that 3 comfortably. Once again, I do worry it's a little bit of a square pick, and they're begging me to pick the Giants here, but it's just a good team versus a bad team, and it's only 3 points. So that's my thought process there.
That was the shock line of the
Yeah.
week for me. Right when I saw it, I was thinking similar to what you just said about they're only giving up 3 at home to the Lions team that just won their first road game in 2 or 3 years, whatever it's been. But yeah, Giants keep going out there and proving it week after week. So I don't know, I guess there's still a little bit of a group thought out there that they are eventually going to regress to the mean, but until they do, I don't see anything wrong with riding that hot hand. I'm actually going to go to the Minnesota game again, and I'm going to take Dallas as 1.5 point favorites on the road in Minnesota. I think this is a very odd line as well. Minnesota is now 8-1, and I've said a couple times I probably do like them more than the public overall, but I don't see Minnesota winning this game in particular. I think the Cowboys come out hungry after letting up that 2-touchdown lead on the road at Lambeau the previous week. I think they're kind of firing on all cylinders. Looks like Dak sort of has, found a little bit of a better connection with CeeDee Lamb. They focus on pounding the rock, getting that run game going on the turf in Minnesota. And I think they come out of there, win the game by a field goal, if not closer to a touchdown. And I think Minnesota kind of is in a tough schedule spot after that insane win in Buffalo. I think it's a potential area for a little bit of a letdown.
I think it could be a letdown spot too, for sure. I mean, they're the team that on the airplane the last couple of weeks has just been riding that high, and they're due for a letdown at some point. Could have argued that last week they should have lost, and Josh Allen fucked it up with that fumble on the goal line. I mean,
crazy game. Absolutely
crazy game. But yeah, I could absolutely see Dallas going in and winning that game. Dallas is a talented team. Plus, they're disappointed last week after going to Green Bay and losing as well. That's gonna be a fun game to watch, however it shakes out. All right, my last game of the week that I'm picking is probably one of the games you least want to watch. I'm gonna go with Denver -3 at home versus the Raiders. My thought process here is the Raiders defense, at least in the last 5 or 6 weeks, hasn't held anybody to less than 20 points. I mean, even the Colts last week, I think, scored 25 against them, and they're not an offensive juggernaut by any means. I think Denver's defense is solid. I think Denver's defense, I think there's a stat like if the Denver offense has scored 18 points every week, they'd be 8-1 or something like that right now. It's ridiculous. So I think Denver holds them to 20 or less, and I think they score 20 or more. Just got to hope there's at least a 3-point spread there. I'm taking Denver -3 at home. Plus, it's one of those places that, they got to go to altitude. Maybe this time of year it becomes a little bit tougher place to play. Denver -3 at home versus the Raiders. That's my pick.
I agree. Tough place to play. I like the home field advantage at Mile High, certainly with what you just mentioned. There's some weird stuff going on with the Raiders right now. Derek Carr is like crying and
He's an emotional guy.
Press conference. He's got problems. I don't know.
He's got issues, bro.
But whatever. The guy loves football, man. He reminds me of that clip of the wrestling fan when he's like, "It was real to me, damn it." But no, yeah, it's weird, bizarre what's going on with Vegas. It's an odd team right now, but also tough for me to back Denver. I saw Nate McMillan's or not Nate McMillan. Nate McMillan's a former basketball coach, or the basketball coach for the Atlanta Hawks. I saw what's his name's press conference, the Broncos head coach, whatever his name is, Nathan something. And he was like, "Well, someone's got to win this game, so that's what I'm telling my team." So I also don't love Nathaniel Hackett.
There you go.
But yeah, so I don't love what he's putting out there either. But anyway, yeah, got nothing against the pick. I certainly wouldn't back the Raiders right now. My last pick, I'm actually going to go It's a thing that's burned me a couple times this year already. Every time I do pick these games, I mention it, and it always hits against me. But Tomlin catching points at home again. I'm going to take the Bengals -4. Part of me almost leans the under in this game. I'm a little worried about that Bengals offense not being able to go over the top without a Jamar Chase still being out of the lineup. But I think they come off the bye. They had a brutal, embarrassing, bad loss week 1 in overtime to the Steelers. I think they'll be tuned up, ready to go in the division rivalry game. They're going to want some vengeance for that one. And I think they go out there, get the job done. And, they're in the thick of a playoff race themselves. Down the stretch now that we're getting in the middle of late November. These games are just getting that much bigger for them. And, they know they got to go in there, take care of business, keep their playoff chances alive and well. And I just think Pittsburgh's a bad football team, regardless of how much respect I have for Tomlin and everything he's accomplished, over the last decade plus. I think that he's just unfortunately doesn't have the guys right now, and they take a little bit of a drumming at home on Sunday.
3 road favorites for you, Jack. Interesting. I like it. All right. We will recap in a minute, but there's 2 games I want to touch on just as a side note. Number 1, the pick I love maybe the most this week. I'm not picking because I don't know if the game's going to happen, but I love Buffalo this week, -8 against Cleveland, especially in the Dome. I think Buffalo destroys them if that game happens. And then the other game I wanted your opinion on, I'm actually kind of shocked you didn't pick it. I thought you for sure were going to pick the Patriots this week. What are they, -3.5 against the Jets?
Yeah, I looked at that one, but the first 2 I picked, I love both of those games. I love the Cowboys. I love the Eagles. The third game, I was kind of between the Bengals. Like I said, I like the under in that Bengals-Steelers game. I do like the Patriots, but similar to my comments about the Giants, even though I may not necessarily be a believer in the Jets, they keep proving it every single week. They go out there, they're competitive in the games that they lose, and they're winning a lot of games that they're not supposed to. I like the Patriots also coming off a bye.
Both those teams are coming off a bye, which I find interesting.
Yeah, well, I would certainly give the advantage to Belichick.
You would think so, for sure.
In that situation. But honestly, in the first game they played, I get all the Patriots games out here, so I watch that team all the time. And the Patriots took care of business. It was easy cover, all that good stuff, but it was just kind of a lot of bad football by Zach Wilson that sort of cost the Jets some brutal turnovers, and I could see them bouncing back, being a little bit more competitive in this one.
Gotcha. All right, quick recap of the picks for the week. I am on the Giants -3 at home versus Detroit, the Commanders -3 at the Texans, and Denver -3 at home versus Vegas. Jack is on 3 road favorites. The Eagles at Indy -6.5, the Cowboys at the Vikings -1.5, and Cincinnati at the Steelers -4. I see a 6-0 week for us. Get you to a winning record on the season would be great.
We're laying a lot of lumber this week, man.
A lot of lumber. A lot of favorites this week. All 6 picks are favorites, which interesting situation. But all right, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. We'll be back next week with some more picks. Till then, enjoy the football games, bet responsibly, and see you next week. Peace.